all. It's a pleasure to have all of you as part of the webinar on Candidate Experience, the Game Changer in partnership with PeopleStrong. I'm Shreya from People Matters, and before speaking about today's agenda, let me give you a snippet of the topic. Our talent is chartering new battles every single day. As the competition to tap the top talent gets fierce, these organizations are those that are leaving an everlasting impact not only on their current employees but also prospective candidates. The candidate experience thus is the game changer now, and it cannot be overlooked any further. Mobile optimized, beautifully branded career sites and easy-to-use applications are a good starting point for delivering a positive candidate experience. The strategic talent acquisition leaders need to recognize that the candidate experience starts from the first step when he or she visits the career section until the employee's first day. Automating the entire recruitment process is the necessity of the hour. In the webinar, we will explore the ideal candidate experience journey, its impact on your business, using the digital dart to hit a consistent experience target, hear from the best, Wipro's success story and future plans for a better candidate experience. To introduce you to speakers for this webinar, we have the privilege of having with us Shailesh Singh, VP at Recruitment PeopleStrong HR Services. Shailesh Singh is the Vice President and the Head of Recruitment Business at PeopleStrong. He is responsible for driving the overall business growth and defining the strategic direction of the recruitment business. About enabling HR to drive business productivity, he has been part of the company for over 5 years now and has held key positions, the most prominent one being that of the recruitment scientist. Sunil, General Manager, Global T at IT Infrastructure at Wipro. Sunil Kalachar is the business leader for excellence, enabling successful engagements in different facets of IT industry, such as global recruitment, account delivery management, and operations management. He is the General Manager, Talent Acquisition for Infrastructure Business of Wipro globally. In this role, over the past 2 years, has been General Manager, Talent Acquisition EU Head for UK, Europe, and Africa, based at London, UK. His 15 years of IT career have been in delivery leadership roles. Today's webinar is PeopleStrong. PeopleStrong established in 2005 and the leading HR solutions and technology company from India. Delivering cutting-edge technology-enabled HR solutions in the space of recruitment, employee lifecycle management, payroll and compliance management, and analytics. The company is enriching experience of over 175 plus customers and 5 lakh users for over a decade now. Known mentioned to innovate, PeopleStrong has many firsts to its name. The recent one being India's first native HR app, which aims to transform the future of work life across corporates and organizations. Very interesting agenda for the webinar today. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over the webinar microphone to Shailesh. Over to you, Shailesh.
Well, very good morning, everyone, and thanks, Aksha, for the kind introductions. I'd probably add a few more bits why me and Sunil thought of choosing this subject and taking it up. I think our association with Wipro has been about 1.5 years old. And this journey, one of the key outcomes that we as a team have been able to achieve has been the candidate experience scores that we are able to deliver month on month for the hires that we do. And just to share the numbers with you, I think we're looking at about 3,500 to 4,000 people every year, which is close to about 300 numbers a month, for which we with about 0.3 million candidates every year. So that's a sizable volume, and we felt that for such a volume to be able to manage experience equally well is that we could take to the audience in the industry and probably let it become an opportunity for others to take some of those best practices and implement elsewhere. I've been part of PeopleStrong for about 5 years now. I head the recruitment business. Sunil heads the global talent acquisition process for the infrastructure business at Wipro. It's been a pleasure knowing Sunil. We all know how maddening recruitments can be. I think that's where Sunil brings a lot of method to the madness. I think one of the great aspects of working with Sunil is that he brings a lot of comfort to what you're doing. And so I can safely say that the experience is extremely comfortable. That's about us. I will now get to the subject. So let me start with a quote that a Greek philosopher used several hundreds of years back. He said, "No one ever steps in the same river twice, for not the same river, and he is not the same man." So that he probably meant the experience change one's perception, perspective, or even association with something forever. Once you experience something, it's never the same. It changes you, and it changes how you look at that thing positively or negatively once and for all. And that's why it's extremely important that when we are delivering services, when we are delivering products to our customers, experience becomes extremely crucial. It becomes extremely critical because your customers, be it on the product or the service side, judge you with the very first instance of that experience that they get with you. The world itself is moving more towards experience. So the boomer generations were focused more around security elements of getting things quickly. We moved to the next generation of X where people were concerned about the quality of services or the products. The generation was more focused around the material aspects of life. Luxury became a need. Most of us who fall into that generation like to have big houses, good houses. We like to have those swanky cars that we want to drive in. And there's a generation of millennials coming up, which is actually focused around experience. For them, material is becoming immaterial. They're more focused around ease. They're more focused around experiencing new things. They're more focused around learning new things. Gathering the material possessions is really secondary or tertiary need for these millennials. So the world as a whole, if you see, is moving more from the material side of existence to the experiential side of existence. Now, is that so relevant? So if we were to look at the Indian workforce now to about 2022, which is about a 5 to 6 year journey, we'll see that the number of formal workforce going to increase almost 2x. Sectors like auto, financial services, IT, pharma are going to see significant amount of jump in formal employment. A large part of their employment is going to come from candidates or students who are going to come into the workforce. So we have 33 million people coming from academia into professional careers every year. We're working on skilling about 400 million people by 2022. When this surge of workforce comes in, a chunk of this is going to be the millennials. And if to believe that number and correlate it to the average age of the working population, I think India would be at number of 32 years, which is the youngest on the globe. So in about 5 to 6 years' time, we'd have the largest workforce, we'd also have the youngest workforce. We'll have a workforce which is very tech savvy. Look for all solutions or most of the solutions through this platform. Now, to combine the fact that millennials are seeking more and more of experiences, in 5 years' time, a good chunk of our workforce is going to comprise of millennials. it makes it imperative that we start focusing on experience. Themselves are a very complex lot. Almost 70% of the employer brand is formed because of the candidates and not because of the employees, which is a little unfortunate because most organizations are focused about employer branding only in context of recruitments or new candidates who experience them. I think the experience is a continuing process. I think the number of employees who work at an organization are equal proponents of what the organization constitutes of and play a critical role in delivering picture of an organization to the market. But unfortunately today, the way organizations run it, 70% of it is done for talent acquisition. 9% of the candidates who you interact with post their experiences on social media. About 7% of the candidates tell their family and friends about a bad interview experience. Remember, they would probably not talk about a good one. But it's a bad interview experience. 78% of them are likely to go and speak to their friends and families about it. And 67%, which is actually a lot, spend up to 2 hours researching a company. So when a candidate's coming to you, they today probably know a lot about you already. And they're coming with some preconceived notions of what to expect and what not to expect. Now, if the content that they're going through is not the right reflection of the experience that the organization offers, they're coming in with wrong notions. It's extremely important that what we do virtually is focused and is very targeted. And when they come in real contact with your system, when they cover those interviews or they come in for those interactions, in experience what they came with and understanding, it just them up a little. So, projecting what is the organization all about through the virtual channels, and the candidates come in, making them experience that reality, are two extremely crucial elements of ensuring that that first connect with the candidate resonates with that candidate. We'll probably hand it over to Sunil now, who will take to more specifics of how we've been able to build some of initiatives that have helped us drive candidate experience while recruiting for Wipro. Sunil, over to you.
Hello, Shailesh. Hi, everyone. So great. Thanks for sharing the insights and putting across the landscape of the demographics of the talent pool that we are focused in today's market. So, team, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I would be going through some of the artifacts of what we believe is in the process of from a candidate experience perspective, and also we would share some of the case studies that help for us in leveraging the best practices toward the overall satisfaction from a talent hiring perspective. So, to sum it up, right, what candidate experience all about? And today we are speaking about, is the game changer, and is it can ignored? Can this be taken for granted? I'm sure the answer for this, each one of you would agree that this is a key important element in the process of recruitment. And I'm also sure you would second my thought that this is a known thing that we feel that it should be achieved. But if you see, we leave a mark when we try to do this without being involved. And hence, we thought today, is this opportunity that People Matter and People Strong are providing us this platform will help us to share across in the services sector the kind of the landscape of talent pool that we would operate with. How do we ensure this execution of candidate experience has been done accurately? I would say it's nothing but all interactions from the time the first connect that the candidate happens from employer perspective during the entire journey of he or she involved in the hiring process is what is all in regard to the candidate experience. The other thing I would like to emphasize is it's a notion that I would say in making the candidate feel that she is being valued. It's a perspective of whether an organization hires a talent at a given point in time or not, the second outcome that the candidate would expect for. Key element of the candidate at any given point in time, which I call as the touch point at various stakeholders of an organization involved in the cycle of recruitment. Candidate's perception should, or the feeling should be that he or she is being valued by the organization. Hence, that makes a critical aspects of what candidate experience for us in a services sector operate with. And my colleagues could draw similar parlance across other industry domains as well, in the manufacture sector, or it could be in the retail segment, or even it could be pharma or banking sector, IT services market as well. So the element that we build in to bring the right connect with candidate is what matters. And you see, as Shailesh was pointed out with the demographics of the talent pool that we see, ideally, if you see, there is something like one in three globally, right, cutting across all industry markets in the age bracket of 20 to mid-30s, please look for a job change. Why they would pursue it or not would be the second aspect of it. But there's an interest created among themselves. You see, there would always be that one person among three would be interested in looking for a job change, and hence that this candidate experience aligns to that, right? And obviously the other elements of it from a perspective of candidate experience would be is how adequately is the communication being made, which is directly proportional to the candidate experience, and that also carries the significant element of employer brand. Shailesh just touched upon that the candidate comes well prepared, and the market is of they choosing the organization they would like to prefer to work for. And that as a key element, how do we ensure that the stakeholders that who are connected with the candidates at any given point in time for the process of talent hunt should carry that message of adequately and well-structured communication being done and building the amount of branding of the organization with those discussions. So the first is very important, which will be primarily in two elements. One would be the active or job seekers, and second would be the passive job seekers. The passive job seeker will always reach out to you, the person who has left that mark behind, in order to connect that first reaching out for an opportunity. At any point in time, there is an interest created for a pursuit of looking for a job change. This experience of first connect will get those job seekers, passive job seekers to start reaching out to you at the time of when they aspire for a job change. So this slide, which we are trying to emphasize on candidate experience, is about being the first connect and making sure the journey is clear from both the stakeholders' perspective. Moving on. This slide is about the channels of connecting. For example, if you take balance of the kind of talent pool that we are looking at, right, this is where we see that if it is typically an entry level and experience level, which are the channels of the media that they look out for, right? I am saying this is the one, but this is what the preferred would be, right? You would see from an entry level who are fresh budding talent in the market, even before they pass out of from their academic institutions, they actually build a kind of impression of which organization they would look out to. And that could be from a reference perspective, that could be from their seniors in the academic institutions, or their fellow colleagues or their neighborhood personnel who would help them to look out which industry they would like to prefer to work for. So that in that level of this, then the candidate connect, we should be emphasizing that our channel, which is starting to this kinds of talent pool audience, is providing the right connect to these candidates, providing adequate information that is needed for them to know about our organization. So it's about CampusNet, it could be about career website, it could be about social media, it could be about referrals and hunting, the aspects of it, and that's what we align our candidate experience to channels of job seeking opportunities, right? Moving to touch upon what causes bad candidate experience. And I'm sure you guys would have addressed this, or you would have seen this through your journey or pursuit of hiring, right? What actually stands out, right, which is one of the key cause which we could align from bad candidate experience would be is what is unable to reach out to a recruiter. The candidate feels I would need to speak to a stakeholder in that organization would be this recruiter, because they are the touch points to know, feel, hear, communicate, share their experiences, understand their needs to be answered is this recruiter. And if they are not able to be connected to the recruiter at that point in time, they feel that something is missing, right? You would definitely hear about our story of how we are trying to create an awareness to address this particular concern. We will be talking about the impression center, which will address some of these things, aspects of structured and process way of handling the connect from an organization perspective. The other bad candidate experiences causes would be is maybe they are not clear about how long will this process would take, right? Give them some kind of an overview as to this is what process would be and typical timelines, and that helps them make them comfortable, and they could also help them plan for their own hiring journey. Then adequate information being shared during the post the interview. Say, for example, if you are fulfilling a position and you have multiple job seekers and there are more than required select that would happen, how do you ensure the final candidate that has been selected and the position is fulfilled? How do you ensure information is given to the candidates or the applicants who have shortlisted, but we have not been able to take them through the final hiring part? And how do you give them that information is what, if you do not do that, then that's again leaving a bad mark in regard to the candidate experience. Other factors would be is giving them the indicative on the compensation or the salary and the benefits part of it. And also sometimes what we do is when we do some kind of a large volume scale hiring, right? When we are trying to take the leverage of digitalization, system automation in sourcing a particular candidate profile, there could be slip-throughs where a candidate may not be ideally matching to the job description. Such kind of thing will really leave a bad mark, especially in the mid-level experience candidates. And will really percolate with a bad experience amongst their peers, right? That is what we need to take care of. And last but not the least, would like to emphasize about you as the torchbearer of an organization in looking for the talent. If you do not share the do's and don'ts of the organization culture upfront with the candidate, that also leaves a bad mark with respect to the candidate experience. So to sum up, we focus on recruitment completely on delivering with speed, quality, and cost, and thereby enabling the customer stakeholder satisfaction. In terms of candidate experience, if I have to build in the engine that will be able to deliver this aspect in a efficient way, I would like to call this 4 key elements. One is domain knowledge. Second, being transparent, building relationship, and involved recruitment. Let's take a couple of minutes to share insights about each of these parameters. When I say domain knowledge, it's from a business recruitment fraternity, awareness of the business and knowledge that is needed for technology skills or the domain skills that they are trying to hire for a practice or for a business unit or for a function, which is adequately known by the recruiter, right? When that person is knowledgeable of what the organization is hiring for, and also know the nuances of these job description or technology and these aspects of what is it, then this enables leaving a positive mark with the candidate, because the recruiter will be able to have meaningful conversation with the candidate and able to answer some of the relevant queries, and having this domain business knowledge will also help a meaningful conversation with the hiring managers, so that the recruiter could also cross some of the market insights to the hiring manager about the potential talent pool available, what kind of skill sets and what kind of expectations do we see within the competition, and hence the domain knowledge will enable satisfaction to both the hiring managers as well as to the candidates. Being transparent, when I say, the way where I call this as the art of saying no. When you ideally say you wanted to say no, but you end up saying yes. And also trying to say what is being transparent enough in sharing across the process that is involved, or even if the outcome of an interview or a short screen select has been ideal enough for a candidate to be pursuing in the opportunity, but you have to clearly share that across so that the candidates feel valued there. So my key emphasis in this entire journey is involved recruitment and being valued, being that notion of valueness to the candidate. Right? Build relationship finally helps out in attracting this passive job seekers, which always bring in the best talent into the organization. Recruitment would be, I would call it as art of persuasion, because now there will be certain challenges where there is a talent abundance and also talent scarcity. When you have talent scarcity and you have to have an edge over the competition in the market, the art of persuasion and being committed and your ability to be involved in recruitment makes a good impact to share candidate experience for the organization and as well as for the active job seekers. What I try to do is we don't try to have what a one-size-fits-all, because that's really going to be a dampener for us. We to segregate our candidate experience primarily from a perspective of how do we enable this customization in different categories. One would be for role positioning. It could be for a particular subject matter expert that we are trying to do, or a particular role which is very critical for the organization. Then we all segregate with seniority, that is seasoned players in the market, how do we attract them. Location nuances, customization, because it's not same if I have to hire in Gurgaon or in Chennai or in Coimbatore or in Tier 2 cities, to Tier 1 cities, what should be our approach of aligning to the candidate culture of that location is also very important. Then we also segregate in regard to the nicheness or the volume hiring. For example, everybody knows if the hiring volume is manageable, then always leave a good mark in regard to the touch points you reach out to the selected candidate. But we have to hire in volume, and you have to ensure that each and every candidate is being valued. Then how do you ensure that the volume hiring doesn't dampen the candidate experience? So a couple of things I would like to emphasize here would be on seniority-based hiring that we try to do, right? What we try to enable here is, one is proactive hiring, one would be what is reactive hiring, right? And then the channels would be primarily in seniority would be for references, or it would be headhunting. Now, in Wipro, what we do is we do an annual exercise which is called as talent review planning, along with the HR heads and the BU heads of the particular function and the units. And then we try to carve out what could be the 3-year, 2-year, and 1-year strategies that is adequately required for running the function of the BU, right? And that's how we begin that exercise, and there would be certain proactive hiring which we try to do here, which is called as a headhunting aspects. And during that phase, a particular role or the position would not be predefined. And how we ensure that the candidates that we reach out to are connected well to ensure that we sell about Wipro and the job opportunity that could be created over the period of time, and it not be at that given point in time. And during phases, what we try to do is we try to create what is called as a proactive connect with a candidate by one of the senior leaders of the organization. And it will be an informal chat to just check across what is Wipro and what is that Wipro could offer for, and that would not be soliciting for a particular position hiring request. But once there is an interest created and the professional relationship channel is opened up, then we try to be in constant touch with those candidates who are in our radar for talent hunt, and keeping them warm and keeping them adequately informed of various things that is happening in the organization. And at one point in time when there is a need of talent to be hired on a reactive mode, they reach out to this potential talent pool that is available. And so by doing that, we are creating what is called as an emphasis on building through relationship, right? Post that we also try to see is in regard to a potential senior candidate being hired from a competition, right? And we try to see that there is a good amount of confidentiality maintained, and also there is a good amount of post-selection, a kind of one-on-one interactions which will help them to take them through the journey and the administrative process of hiring, so that there would be a clear way for them to be connected with the organization and take them through the various processes. Post that, once they join, we have what is called as the buddy or the mentoring part of it. A senior leader within the function where we have hired for who acts as a buddy for this particular senior person whom we would have onboarded. And we leave that part of experience where this person gets acclimatized to the organization, processes and procedures to what they would have heard for during the interview journey process. This buddy would be the touch point at any given point in time for the first 3 months to ensure that the no's and don'ts and do's and don'ts, the know-hows are all shared with them, and they will help them out to settle down easily in the organization and also introduce across with stakeholders. On niche and volume hiring, I have 3 case studies. One which I'll share in the slides going forward will be about one of the large volume hiring that we did for a banking sector here at India. During my last stint where I was the head of Europe Geo, we had a very good experience in creating for a sector of infrastructure skills leaders in Europe. So we had what is called face-to-face senior leaders of the competition in Europe to invited for a mega walk-in event with senior leaders of the organization were present, and we had made them in from various parts of the world to Frankfurt and attracted the talent to have a unique red carpet mechanism for these talent to have an end-to-end taking care of their logistics, take care of their interview process, take care of their concerns or queries to be addressed through. And it was one of the best ways we were able to attract talent, and there was a constraint that the organization and the market challenges that we felt was that will it be possible to attract talent for a walk life or even for senior people. And we felt that that is possible, and we did that. And the second instance I would like to share with all of you is in my earlier stint where I was heading the analytics division as a talent acquisition head, we were working for most of the analytics skills, which was in New Jersey in USA. In similar fashion, but we were not emphasizing on face-to-face, and we ensured that the experience of interview for this subject matter expert was done virtually. So we were able to take care of bringing in the virtual hiring process, but still maintaining the candidate experience. So moving on. So this up the new approach. I will just take a few minutes, which I've already explained in my previous slide. But basically, it's a structured approach. We touch upon what's called as defining process, which is nothing but planning, executing end-to-end part of it, and also clearly calling out what is the segregation of duties is all about. Second should be standardizing. That means we are trying to look at how do we create an impression center. So Shailesh, my co-speaker in today's conversation, and also partner with us from the India Middle East business of Wipro in the infrastructure hiring, will share with you guys about the benefits of the impression center helping us in making sure the elements that is required for candidate experience is efficiently done. Right. So that's about creating an impression center. In terms of improving, we are carrying along now, which is about the digital part of it. One, bringing in automation from a sourcing angle, so that there will be good amount of sourcing that could be done with minimal manual intervention. So this is not what I call as a new theory as such or a new process, but we would like to emphasize in executing of this automation of sourcing to a perfection. And then that is something that we are trying to bring in across. Process improvement through application tracking system is another one. Bringing in what is called as mobility services for the candidates, right? That's the next stage that we would like to bring in, so that we are based closer to the candidate and candidates will be closer to the organization. So we versa. And the red carpet experience that I spoke to you all about, the senior hiring that we try to do, Frankfurt, which I called out, and some of the skills hiring that we do. Finally, how do we measure? It's measuring about getting the informal feedback, getting high managers feedback, and getting the experience feedback from the candidate themselves. So that's the overall new approach that I would call out. Moving on, from a Wipro perspective, which I was talking about, how do we ensure the joining ratio we did by involving multi-location recruiters, a large critical ramp up for a banking sector, where there was a complete involved recruitment from every stakeholder, be it with the hiring manager, the practice managers, the business unit head, the recruitment head, the recruiters, and also the fraternity in the relative domain sector, right? So how did we do this? By clearly articulating what is called as segregation of duties and accountability. Nothing but formation of core team, which was drawn in parts to the entire element of journey of hiring, right? Now, when we did this about segregation of duties, we called saying that this is a team which end-to-end accountable for hiring this large critical ramp up, which will obviously the outcome that we are looking out is enabling growth for the organization, end customer satisfaction, and also taking edge over competition. How do we do this, right? First of all, we formed separate teams, be it the sourcing team, be it with the candidate engagement team, then the offer rollout team, etc. Now, we called out such certain different teams for it. Each of them had their own set of concerns that they had to address from a candidate perspective. For example, in the candidate engagement, post the offer rollouts, and during the HR discussions, we always end up what is called as hard negotiators from the candidate, right? How we ensure the candidate experience leaves a good mark in hard negotiation, right? You also know that you, as a torchbearer of the organization, you have a certain constraint to how much you can pay a particular candidate for a certain hour. But at the same time, you would have to attract this talent into the organization for that he or she may not be interested with. In kind of a thing, I would say experience for such kind of hard negotiators would not have to be virtually, right? Either it has to be Skype, right, if it is a distance is too far, or ensure that you invite such candidate post or rollout where the candidate is not happy, but you know that this talent is important for the organization. You have to invite them to your premises. doesn't feel and for the candidate being valued, may a critical factor for them to say that, look, here is the discussion that happens. Now you have to carry along with that discussion, bring in your experts from the organization, either the practice head who can speak about the technology offerings that you could do for that person, so that you know what is the magic that you could go through, but what are the other things that you could provide for the candidate is what makes the candidate feel that yes, I could look out this opportunity, right? And finally, you will have to find middle pathway out, right? You will also have to bring in your subject matter experts in the recruiter fraternity itself who have a killer in the negotiations, right? Negotiation is an art by itself and it has to be practiced to make yourself perfect. And you have to have this core attribute during negotiation, which I like to call out is called as active listening. Once you as a stakeholder are involved in the active listening part during a negotiation, you would be able to address what are the critical pain areas and try to see how your organization would be able to address those concerns. You jump into it during this hard negotiation expected candidates. And you also be, for example, my second bullet point says in constant engagement in a market like ours today when there is a talent scarcity and you have multiple organizations trying to attract the same talent, we always see what is called as the counter job offers in the market. So how do you address those skill aspects in building the candidate experience adequately, engaging them, taking through this process, right? For example, you release an offer and you know that there is a 2 month, 3 months or a 1 month notice period. Proactively, this team which is formed of candidate engagement will check with them to see that whether they have done that. Is there anything else that would they need for them to ensure that they get relief from their organization? What are the whether you also know that whether some of these things is the candidates may be scouting the market with multiple offers. They may not be your actual interest, their interest of joining you, but at the same time you cannot leave the final business which is targeting for this critical ramp up that be shortfall and default in those fulfillment, right? You need to have counter offers, additional offers to those awards, right? And you have to call out the kind of people who are really not so interested to join us upfront with the time cycle, right? You know, you don't have to wait for the last minute and the nth minute of candidate awards for you to know, right? By knowing this, you will absolutely able to share that experience with the stakeholder saying that this candidate, he or she, is not highly going to join us. There are certain challenges associated with this. Maybe the current organization themselves may be retaining such kind of talent within the organization. So how to act on it is what you have to do. So candidate experience cannot be treated in isolation. It should be tagged along with your entire stakeholders fraternity involved in this hiring journey. So how much of you guys will involve your HR fraternity, how much of you guys will involve the business stakeholders and yourself makes the experience very, very genuine, right? And all the informal connects with the critical stakeholders, like we try to do what's called as invite people for a workshop, basically greet and meet kind of a thing with senior stakeholders of the organization, and that addresses their concerns for the particular pool of people that we are hiring for. So with that, I would like to sum up what I had to say. It's been a fantastic journey for us at Wipro in addressing these challenges and also being closer to the hiring talent that is our candidates. We also try to show across some of the best practices that the organization provides to them, either in regard to compensation, benefit, the learning aspect, and also the kind of career growth aspects that they could aspire, and cross-functional career opportunities that we could sell for, right? So it's a journey, and of course, it's not easy. We have to make that persuasion and have that art, and holding that fort continuously helps us to share a good experience for candidates. That I would like to invite my co-speaker Shailesh to take you guys to the next couple of slides, sharing across the impression center that we have built to address the India Middle East business of Wipro. and he will be able to call out the critical aspect and the interest of creating this. So Suresh, if I may pass on to you, and we could then take the question and answers later.
Thanks, Sunil, for sharing all those insights. I'll probably be a little quick now in the interest of time. Now, we started the candidate experience journey at Wipro. We said we have to first be very serious about it because it's not a passing subject that we can just do it for the sake of sounding fashionable. And we seriously started looking at the subject. We found that there's so much to it that it'll probably be difficult for us to do all of it that came up as areas where we needed to make improvements. And that's where we defined it and said we can blend the virtual and real part of the processes which a candidate connects with, and the gaps there, I think that will give us a significant advantage. And second, if we can fix the communication aspect of how we deal with the candidates, that will also be very useful. So we limited it to communication and blending the manual and technology-driven steps of the process. I'll give a quick example since I see a few questions here. One from Raghavendra which says whether technology can play a role in driving candidate experience. I also hear Nikita say, can we manage candidate experience in volume hiring? When we looked at technology and process manually driven steps, we saw umpty number of steps where there were gaps. So just to give you guys an example, let's say you're sourcing from a job board and you've done some job postings. Candidate applies on those job postings. It is then a black box for a candidate. The recruiter downloads that CV. Downloading that CV from the job board, if the recruiter finds it relevant, a candidate will hear from a recruiter. If the recruiter chooses not to download, the recruiter in the meanwhile, the position that he or she was working on is to close that from any other source. Or if the download happens and the recruiter doesn't find the CV to be relevant, we all know that most of our recruiters don't really bother about candidates who are rejected or who don't go into the pipeline. I will probably never hear back from the recruiter. So we said the connect that a candidate has established through an application on the job posting that we did. Invariably, 9 out of 10 cases, we are not going back to the candidate. So how do we enable that? So we integrated the ATS with the job posting. Now, every time a job posting happens and a response comes, it sits directly against the job. And every CV that's sitting against a job has to be screened. Even if the job has been filled, the system does a notification to all candidates tagged to the job that the job has been filled, and we would assess them for any future openings. But we are closing that loop of communication, which is not letting the candidates stay in that black box. And how, by blending technology and manual processes, we are able to go back to people, communicate more constructively, and drive that experience. So post-designing, we said that we'll standardize most of the communication and standardize most of the technology and manual processes. Probably come to standardize the communication bit. So we started what we call an impression center. Now, we all know that in recruitments, we expect a recruiter to do so much. You expect a recruiter to get a relevant candidate. You expect the recruiter to also manage the scheduling, interviews. We expect a recruiter to negotiate compensation. Somebody's asked a question whether tough negotiation can lead to bad candidate experience. We expect a recruiter to manage the engagement post offer. If you were to look at the diversity in the nature of work types that you're expecting that one single person to perform, you will realize it's quite a bit. Not everybody, for example, is very good at negotiating. Negotiation is a skill. Not every everybody is very high on diligence as a behavioral attribute, and hence for some people doing a lot of follow-up may be a big irritant. Not everybody is very good with selling, and hence to be able to sell an organization or a role to a candidate is not a skill that comes naturally to every recruiter. If you look at this entire end-to-end spectrum of activities that a recruiter performs in their entire day, you'd realize that only full of our teams are equipped to do all of that fairly well. And hence we said, at least on the communication side, can we make it central, can we make it standardized? And that's where we introduced the impression center model. And then we looked at some data to find that at least 70 to 75% of the queries that come to recruiters are very basic or level 0 queries. You know, queries like what is the status of my application? Where do I need to go for the interview? What is the feedback of my interview? Very basic queries for which a recruiter spends a significant chunk of their time answering those, either hiring manager or a candidate. So we can centralize the information and keep it updated almost real time. Why can we not build a communication channel where a candidate can connect and get answers to all those level 0 queries? And that's where we started a 1-800 number where a candidate or a hiring manager can call any time and get an update on the status of their application with Wipro, or get answers on the nature or kind of job positions that are available. Then there are some level 1 queries which pertain more to policies, SOPs, or in second level details, which are answered by the impression center. The moment the query becomes something which is an information specifically available with the recruiter or the talent acquisition teams, it is then routed to those teams, and those then go back to those candidates with the responses. And there is level 3, which is very rare, which is an escalation which could be around a bad experience that the candidate has had, which he or she wants to flag to senior teams in the organization. It is something that is available for them to log in as a complaint, and it is then flagged off to the senior teams. A lot of our process improvement ideas come from there, because the candidate is the customer as far as the experience is concerned. So they do come back to us saying, what is it that we can make better? So make them a part of the process. Some of the things we've been able to achieve with driving this model centrally through an impression center is that we are able to drive over 96% customer or candidate satisfaction. A lot of interviews that get scheduled happen centrally through this channel. A lot of time that the recruiter spends in managing that administrative work gets saved for the recruiter. Now, we did all that. We said the next step obviously is for us to measure whether it's making an impact or not. We started a satisfaction survey for all the candidates who were coming into the process. And then again, this was automated. So the moment a candidate reached a certain stage on the ATS, a survey gets auto-triggered from the ATS. Candidates respond to those surveys, and we collate the responses and publish a candidate satisfaction score. Now, this is something that we measure as an SLA with Wipro, right? So it is Strong's responsibility to ensure a certain candidate satisfaction score. And if you look at it, I think we are currently at about 98% candidate satisfaction for Wipro as a customer. A lot of it happens through technology. So what this slide talks about measuring, the impression center was an example of standardizing. What we've not really put here is the element of improving. Now there's so much to talk about there that we couldn't really have captured in one slide, but a large part of the process steps are automated, blended technology solutions. And so, probably pick up Raghavendra's question, which says, where technology can play a role in driving candidate experience. I think it plays a significant role as far as, PeopleStrong and Wipro are concerned. Right from the step of the candidate making an application, be it through a response to a job posting or through career site, on the stage of the candidate accepting an offer, I can safely say, and Sunil can add to it, almost 90% of those activities happen in an automated fashion. We do not send offer letters over an email. The candidates have the option to view the offer letters, which are auto-generated on a system, on their candidate logins, and they have the option to accept or reject their offers there. Information that comes responded to, whether it is select or reject. Information about interview scheduling is shared with the candidates via SMSs and emails. We even go to the, Sunil talked about customizing experience as per the levels. For senior levels, we also go to the extent of sharing additional information for enabling them with interview processes, such as directions to the interview location maps. And this is all done in an automated fashion. Recruiters not having to sit down and create all of this manually. So I think, standardizing through measures like Impression Center, improving it by bringing in a lot of automation and digitization of the processes, and finally measuring it with, candidate experience surveys and other channels really helped us deliver that candidate experience for Wipro. I think that brings us to the end of the presentation we had. We are happy to take some questions now.
Sure.
Sunil,
Thank
is
you
there
so
anything
much.
that you'd like to add?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Shailesh. I was just trying to address a particular question in regard to this automation. I think it's posted by the question. There was a mention about the importance of automate sourcing. How important is automation or technology intervention from a sourcing point of view? Can it play a vital role in the success of recruitment process for organization? So it's a very important point, and I would say definitely yes. Primarily aspect, if I can draw references to the fundamental building block of recruitment that every organization should focus. I heard out called speed, quality, and cost. So quality is implicit by nature. Speed is what is of importance. So automation to a level where you are able to reach out to the candidates by the need of a particular job description can relatively reduce the turnaround time of selection. For example, if there are tools today based on the keywords and algorithmic searches, which will help us to zero down on a particular talent in a particular location. So, the manual effort, say for example, when you are working with an organization where you follow a structured process of hiring from an external market, the need to hire could be reactive mode and there could be a proactive mode. Right? When this kind of an automation is enabled, where you will be able to have at your disposal, instead of looking at hundreds of profiles, you get a quality of 5 to 6 of them with you, and which you have just not been able to do through any of your personal intervention, but the system throws out these are the short selects that could be taken forward. Then it reduces the turnaround time. And the system can do it even when you are not currently working at the time zone. For example, there's a need where somebody marks some particular position for a talent hunt, then the system can directly throw, even with your intervention, next a candidate can be shared across to the clear hiring manager with the short list of profiles. And the candidate and the manager can definitely screen them and then convey that results to the recruiter, who would then touch on those people to schedule and create the interest for hiring. But however, if they want to see the kind of profiles available in the system, that's the best way of it. So I say automation enables speed, automation enables volume hiring to be much more efficient, automation enables transparency, automation enables a comfort zone for the hiring managers. At the same time, we will be able to achieve customer satisfaction. So I just wanted to address that particular question about automation. And I think, Shailesh, I think you were just prompting about any open questions. So you could take it up if there's any.
I see a few. I can probably take some of those, and probably some of those you can take, Sunil. I'll probably read out the questions here. Talent, this is a question from Raghavendra. Is talent relationship management the same, and are the tools developed helping the companies to achieve the desired candidate experience? I want to take that up, Sunil. Raghavendra is asking, is talent relationship management the same, and are tools developed helping companies?
I think we have
sorry to
please go ahead.
So, Shailesh, I'm so sorry to interrupt you right at the second, but as the time does not permit, I know that we have a lot of questions pouring in from the participants, but we would be taking that offline, and you can share, all the answers offline, all of them. So I think we would end with the webinar session today. Do you have anything else to say to the audience?
I think, thank you much for taking time out. It's middle of the week and it's probably peak hours, 11 to 12, so it's not always easy to take time out for sessions like these, but we'd really like to thank the 106 odd people who've taken time out to listen to how the candidate experience being managed at Wipro. We're extremely sorry we've not been able to respond to all the questions, but we would like, Akshay, to make sure that we come back to you over an email with the responses to the questions that you've asked.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Shailesh and Sunil, for the great insights. With this, we'll be wrapping up today's webinar. Once again, we would like to thank today's webinar partner, People Strong. Also, our special thanks to our speakers, Sunil and Shailesh, for this webinar and the indispensable information that you shared with us today. And also, everybody in the webinar audience for participating in today's presentation. We will come back to you with many more interesting sessions. That would conclude today's webinar. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
That's all. Thank you very much.